right, so good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another storytelling video that is being hosted by ChildLine. My name is Aaron George, and I am one of ChildLine's outreach officers. And today, our story is titled The Two Gardeners. This story today is intended to remind persons about the importance of encouraging independence and letting people have the opportunity to plant their feet firmly on the ground without constant support from other people. We have to keep in mind that moving away from dependency can actually help us build resilience. So, I hope you enjoy today's story. So we begin. Once there lived two neighbors who used to grow the same plants in their respective gardens. One neighbor was fussy and took extreme care of her plants. Every minute she would be trimming them, watering them, putting fertilizers on them, and so on. The other neighbor did what was required, but left the leaves of the plants alone to grow as they pleased. One evening, there was a huge storm, accompanied by heavy rainfall. The storm destroyed many of the plants. The next morning, when the fussy neighbor woke up, she found that the plants had been uprooted and destroyed. However, when the more relaxed neighbor woke up, she found that her plants were still firmly rooted in the soil, having weathered the storm. The plant of the relaxed neighbor had learned to do things on its own. So it had done its bit of work, which would have been to grow deep roots, and it made a place for itself in the soil. Thus, it had stood firm even in the storm. However, the fussy neighbor used to do everything for the plant, thereby not teaching the plant how to sustain on its own. The end. And what is the moral of our story today? Sooner or later, you will have to let go, and you are going to have to become independent. Unless you stop fussing, nothing is really going to work on its own. And I want you to understand something, that when we talk about letting go, it could be you, the person who might be an enabler in situations where you have to let go of always saying yes or always doing things for people and allowing them to stand up and do it for themselves. Or you might have to be the person to stand up and say, wait a minute, am I only looking for help from other people and I'm not trying to account for myself or try to plant my own 2 feet on the ground and to be firm? We have to ask ourselves those questions. And I want to take it in retrospect as well, well, not really in retrospect, but I want to take it into the context of parents and their children. Sometimes you have parents who are there with their children and they want to do everything for the child. As soon as the child falls down, mommy getting up running to pick up the child. As soon as the child cries, mommy wants to give the child money or gives the child a pacifier, or daddy wants to give this child ice cream so that they will stop complaining or stop crying or stop giving them a headache and so on. Always keep in mind, always keep in mind that that same child may or may not develop a dependency for you or on that person, because when they develop that dependency, they tell themselves, wait a minute, mommy and daddy providing this for me, so why do I need to do it for myself? We have to teach our children that we are not always going to be there. We're not there 24/7 to walk them through every single situation in life. Sometimes when they fall, you have to leave them, let them get up on their own. If somebody had they had money to travel home and they spent it on nonsense, sometimes you have to leave them, let them walk, because only when you feel the consequences of your actions, then you are going to be able to understand that, wait a minute, I understand where my contribution is. And there's a saying that goes, you don't know the value of the water in the bucket until you have to carry every drop. And I'm saying this to you as well. allow yourselves and allow other people to become independent, because in this world, in this life, in this day and age, you have to get up and do for your own, and we have to recognize that things will always change. So do know that when you allow people to be themselves, they become stronger, they become better. But I'm not saying to abandon them entirely. Still provide some level of support for the persons who are present. Yes, once you know that you can help, help, but use your discretion and ask yourself, am I really and truly helping this person? Because there's a saying as well that goes, if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. But if you teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. So have a good day, everyone. I hope you enjoyed today's story.